What's up YouTube? This is Gadget Pilot and I would like to welcome you on episode 2 of Gadget Pilot Flight School. In this video we're gonna learn how to use instruments in infinite flight. So we're gonna see everything that has to do with infinite flight instruments in order to be able to understand what every button is used for. And this is a way that if you do believe that you forget things, I suggest you get a pen or a paper and start writing things down that we're going to see next on the video. But for now, I would like you to pay attention because there will be a lot of talking for me to explain everything. So I hope you guys do understand the purpose of this tutorial. If you have any questions, just put them down below in the comment box, and I will also make a live streaming for each and every one of you guys to come in and ask questions or whatsoever, and I'll try and help everyone out. Okay, I'm going to try and explain this as simple as possible for this video, so you guys do understand what is vertical speed, what is speed, what is altitude, what is trim, and all that. Just put in mind that whatever we see today, we'll be using them again in all the rest of the tutorials I'll be making out for you guys. So this is just to explain the buttons. We're not going to do any flight today, but you're just going to see how we use the buttons in infinite flight. And this is a video just for beginners in infinite flight and for those who don't know anything about infinite flight. So this is a way that I'll try and explain everything to you guys. So let's go ahead and check the video out. Let's go. And here we are. Now we just in the gameplay, and I'm gonna be showing you guys all the instruments in infinite flight and what is the purpose of each instrument. First of all, I'm gonna check. You guys see on your right screen, I'm playing on iPad. If you're playing on Android, you might be getting some of these instruments on the left hand side somewhere here. So this is the same thing. I'm just going to tell you guys about the use, so it stands for both devices. Okay, first of all, I'm going to start off with the APPR and nav mode. This here, guys, you need, after you set a flight plan and you take off, you can just press on the nav and the aircraft will automatically follow your flight plan without turning it or whatsoever. Just set your autopilot and just press nav and everything will be going automatically. The only thing you need to do is set the altitude and speed that you want to cruise at and fly at with this depends on you and your flight. So another task here is the speed. As you can see here, we are talking about the speed that you want to take off. For example, by pulling this upwards, it sets a speed, let's say 200 knots, 220 knots, and by pressing this, then it automatically will be flying at that, it will be set at the speed that you have selected. The thing is, after you take off, I suggest you just press on the speed and it will just hold the speed that you pressed on. For example, let's say you took off at about 145 knots and you press on the speed, then it would maintain 145 knots. Okay, so it will be using the whole thing by itself, and it will hold that speed. So speed is really important on the aircraft, and we're gonna see these on next videos as well when we fly. So next thing is the heading Okay, by just pressing it, it just gets the heading that we are at now. So as you can see inside the cockpit at the HUD screen, you can see the heading is 1 degree, and that's where it holds. So I'm gonna jump in the cockpit in a little bit. First of all, I'm just gonna explain the whole instruments, and then we're gonna see it in the cockpit and how to read the instruments on whilst you fly and all that. So next task, so let me just go back to heading. By pressing it downwards, okay, it will turn left. Your aircraft will turn left as you fly. I'm talking about after we take off now, guys. So autopilot is only used after takeoff, and you can't use your autopilot whilst you're taxiing to the runway or taxiing to parking. So like I said, by swiping it down, it turns left. By swiping up, it will turn right. So this is the heading. The heading will take the aircraft, turn your aircraft to the degrees that you want it to turn. Another main task here is the altitude, which is ALT. By swiping up again, it will increase climb, and by swiping down, it will descend. The thing is, with altitude, it always goes with the vertical speed, as you can see on the right hand side here. So by swiping out, this is your climb rate. How fast do you want your aircraft to climb per minute? For example, as you can see, by swiping up, you can see me having a 2000 VS. That means my aircraft will be climbing at 2000 feet per minute. So in 1 minute, I'll be climbed at 2000 feet. By swiping down now, this will descend. This will be a minus, and it said, if you see a minus in front, that means you will be descending at 1000 feet per minute, or whatsoever you want to set here for your descent. So just to keep in mind here, the vertical speed is something that passengers do feel. Like, I don't know if you guys ever flew before, but if you have, it's when you can feel the descent on the aircraft. When the aircraft is descending too fast, you can actually feel it. I mean, you can feel it through your stomach. You might get a little bit dizzy and whatsoever. So we don't really want that, and we're gonna I'm gonna be showing you guys how we're gonna be doing this the best way. Okay, so we covered the steps. We're going down to spoilers now. What are the spoilers? As you can see, just keep an eye on the wing, on the top side of the wing. The spoilers, this is when you land. Before landing, you always have to have your spoilers armed, and before the wheels touch the ground, this will be flat like that, but it will be unarmed. And as soon as your wheels touch down, your spoilers will go up. This is the way of air braking. This helps the aircraft decrease speed on the runway and kind of stops the aircraft, but it doesn't. Aircraft does stop. You can use the reverse thrust that we're going to be talking on next, and also the brakes. As you can see here, the brakes. Okay, what is the spoilers on flight? On flight, as you can see, the spoilers are halfway opened, and this is used whilst you fly, is a way of decreasing speed. So by applying the flight spoilers, and let's say you are at speed of 300 knots and you selected through your speed here to go down to 250 knots, and you set your spoilers to flight, then it will help you decrease speed quicker. So that's really important as well. Another thing is the gear. The gear is the landing, is the tires, as you can see, the landing gear, as we say. And when we take off, we just press on the gear and the wheels will be retracted, will go up, and so on. When you land by pressing gear, your wheels will come down for landing. Trim, as you can see, trim, it's a way of keeping your aircraft in a pitch. I mean, you want pilots use trim just to free their hands from the yoke or the joystick, to lift off some pressure on the yoke or joystick. Just to make sure it makes sense, is to help the aircraft keep an angle and keep the nose up when you approach for landing, or sometimes when you want to take off. I don't use trim for takeoff, I only use trim for landing, and I will be showing you exactly on a flight, on another part, how we use trim. For now, I just want you guys to know that trim is used just to increase the bank of the aircraft, just to free some pressure from the controls in the cockpit, and that's the main purpose of the trim. I don't want to start talking scientifically, but I'm just trying to explain the best way that I can, so you guys understand. If you don't understand, please just write a comment below and I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible, just to try and help out. Just to keep note, I might be doing on part 2, like on this video, I will be doing a live streaming, so you guys can come in and ask me any questions, and I'll be happy to help you live at that time. Okay, brakes. The brakes, is the word says it, is used to stop this aircraft, to park and put your brakes on, or you are taxiing and you want to stop, you just press brakes. This is what brakes are used for. The flaps. The flaps is something really important on an aircraft, and as you can see here, you can see the flaps going down and up. This is used for landing and takeoff. And why do we use flaps? Flaps is a high lift device to increase the lift of an aircraft wing at a gain airspeed. So by adding flaps, it will lift your aircraft up in a lower speed situation. For example, if you want to take off, and with flaps, you will take off with less speed than if you are not using any flaps. For example, let's say you do not use flaps and you're out for takeoff, and you increase your speed and you reach 140 knots and you pull back, then your aircraft might not pull back at that time. You might need 180 knots to start lifting your aircraft up. But when you use a flap settings, for example 5 degrees or 15 degrees, let me just say for 15 degrees, you will be able to take off it up. So this is good. And flaps are also used, well, they cause an increase of drags, so they are retracted when they are not needed. So for example, after takeoff or after landing, because on landing it's really important to use your flaps as well, because you will need less speed for landing, and it will also help you maintain a certain speed limit as you fly down to the runway. Okay, so also, like, just to underline these flaps, guys, flaps are also flaps are used also to lower the minimum speed and to gain the lift that you need for takeoff or landing. This is what flaps are used for. Another thing below the flaps, as you can see here guys, is the rudder. The rudder is used to turn the aircraft on the ground. So this is what we use to turn around once we are taxiing somewhere, and also once we fly. This helps to hit the back of the aircraft left and right, as you can see on this image that I have created. It is used to, by pulling on the right hand side, the back side of the aircraft will turn right, and left side of, and if you turn it left, then the left side of the aircraft will turn left. So it actually hits the back of the aircraft just so you can line up with the runway in case of some very bad wind conditions when you're landing, for example crosswind landings. And also you might want to line up as soon as you touch down. You might be a little bit off the ground, so as soon as your back wheels touch the ground, you might use your rudder just to line up before it touches the ground. This is what the rudder is, as you can see there. And also something very important is on the left is something called, set here, PWR, which stands for power. In aviation language is the throttle of an aircraft. So by dragging it up, it increases thrust. So this is used for you to be able to move around with your aircraft, take off, land, or whatsoever. And by pulling back, it decreases the power, the thrust. And yeah, this is what it's used for. We're going to see all this live as we will be preparing for a takeoff, a tutorial takeoff with all the instrument that we are talking about now. So something else guys, what you need is, by pressing on these two, it looks like two pieces of paper, for example, by pressing on them, two boxes here, by dragging on the left, it's the map. Okay, so you see them, and this is a way that you can go ahead and set a flight plan. We're going to talk about flight planning and map on another part of this tutorials. This task is the controls. So by just pulling right again, just one more step, is a box called systems. Just press on systems and you can see another some other instruments here that are really important for flying. For example, no smoking signs are on, seatbelt signs are on, nav lights is the lights here that you can see, which is important. As soon as you are prepared for a flight, I suggest you always switch them on. This is for security of the aircraft. It will be off only when you are about to leave the game, then you turn them off. For example, I always turn them on when I get to start my flight planning. I have them on just to know that, just to tell people around that I'm here, I'm in my cockpit, I'm a bit busy, I'm getting ready for a flight. So landing lights here, this is used when you are about to take off or land. This is landing lights are should be turned on when below 10,000 feet and switched off above 10,000 feet. And beacon lights, the beacon lights are used for just to tell us that we are about to start the engines, we are about to start moving, so move out the way. For example, in real life aviation, this is used for ground handlers, just to tell them that do not come close to this aircraft because it's dangerous, it's about to turn on engines, it's it's just dangerous. And also used on the flight, so by the time you start beacon lights, you turn them back off again, your engines are off, that's when you switch off your beacon lights. And strobe lights, the strobe lights are the two lights. Sorry about that, guys. The two lights on the edges of the wing, here and here, and this is also used when you are first in line for takeoff, and it's used until you have landed again on your destination and exited the runway. That's when you switch them off. And the engines, as you can see, starting engines. Engine number 2 is here. You wait for, this is not how we will be starting our engines when we will be starting the tutorials on how to fly. I'll be telling you guys how the engines are will be starting, and you always have to wait for one of the engines to go green before starting the other engine. And fuel dump, as you can see, there's a note here, cannot fuel dump minimum altitude 7,000 feet AGL. So we can't start fuel dump when we are parked in the ground. Fuel dump is used when you are too heavy to land. Let's say you have more fuel than you needed for your flight and you are over the maximum landing weight, which we will see here, weight and balance. This is the weight. So we just went to settings. Let me just show you guys what I did. You just press the 3 lines and weight and balance, and you see your weight, total weight, maximum takeoff weight. This is what MTOW stands for. MLW stands for maximum landing weight. So this is the weight that you have to consider before taking off or pick for landing. Okay, and also here, guys, you can check the passengers fuel tanks. So by swiping left and right, you will get some fuel in or decrease fuel from your tanks. Passengers, you can increase passengers or decrease passengers depending on what you want to do. And cargo, how much cargo you want to have in your holds at the bottom there. Okay, and here on the bottom you can either do it automatically, like light, normal weight, or heavy weight. It will automatically set some things for you, but I always do it myself. Okay, let me just switch those engines off because we don't need them. Engines off. And switch all the lights off. So this is the instruments so far, guys. Now we're gonna see something else which is really important for our flights. If you go at the bottom here, you can see this gray box at the bottom of your screen. By just pressing on these settings, you can see some different type of instruments that you can actually see. For example, I have selected mine according to my likes and my comfort during a flight. So I have altitude LGL, which is the altitude that my wheels are off from the ground. So at this moment, as we are on the ground, is 0 feet. So this is something really important for me, and you can go ahead and set it the same if you like, if you find it, or you can just move around and add your own things. For example, we're gonna need to see everything separately. Okay, so this is the first box. GForce is when you descend or when you have like winds and your aircraft starts to shake, you will see the GForce going up and down. This is something that will cause dizziness on the passengers, or if you put GForce on Google, you see a lot of incidents and what GForce can do. So I have it there so I can keep an eye on my passengers as I fly. So I find it important. And one is the throttle percentage. For now it's 0% because my engines are off. Vertical speed, I don't need to have this here because I already have it on my controls just outside, which is here. And heading also the same. And altitude also the same. I have the AGL set here, and the MSL altitude is right here that you can see. For example, if an airport is 200 feet from sea level, then you will see that on it will say the MSL, sorry. You can see actual feet, how high is the airport from sea level. So it's 97 feet right now. That's why I have it to AGL, just so I know how far my wheels are from the ground. Ground speed, I don't need to have it here either, guys, or airspeed, because I can actually see my ground speed from the cockpit, from the HUD view. If I go to the HUD view, right here, it's my ground speed. The GS is my ground speed, and this is the instruments that are really important for the flight. I'm gonna come back to these instruments after explaining a little bit more on the bottom settings, and we'll see all about the instruments as well. So just to cut things short, we're going to the next box here. You see the track offset. I don't really use this. You have the bearing. The bearing is really important when you are not when you're following a flight plan, but you're not using nav mode. It will tell you where you need to turn to follow your flight plan. For example, if you are following a flight path of, let's say, 320 degrees and you are at 180 degrees, then your bearing will say the heading you need to turn, so you are in flight towards your flight planning. I don't use this anymore, guys, due to the fact, like I said, I have my nav mode right here. Okay, and let me just put this back. AGL. Okay, estimated to next. This is estimate to next waypoint, so how far you are away from your next waypoint, and estimated to destination. I have this estimate to destination, so I know how long I need to fly until I land. And here another thing is important: distance to destination. How many nautical miles away am I from my landing? So this is really important. The load is how many passengers I have. How heavy my aircraft is. It's 75% at this time. Fuel remaining, which is really important when you are flying. I'm just gonna go fast, guys. These are settings that, depending on your likes and what you wanna see right on the bottom of your screen, these are the settings that help me on my flights. So if you want, you can go ahead and copy them. Like I said, fuel remaining is how much fuel do I have? Will that fuel be enough until I land, or do I need to make an emergency landing? So fuel remaining is really important. It will go red when you are below your minimum fuel, and this will definitely help you try and land the aircraft as soon as possible. Flight time is how long have I been flying, and GForce is the force that I explained at the beginning. This is it for the bottom settings and what I use for my flights. There's different settings. You can actually put like a small yoke there, so you can see where you're turning or whatsoever. That depends on you guys, and I suggest you go ahead and check them all out and see what is in your comfort to use. Right, we're going to the HUD. Now we're going to see these instruments, which is the glide slope. This is the glide slope, and we're gonna see all this in a video on landings and whatsoever. I will explain how we use these instruments. Okay, this is the line. This is like a V here. This is just showing us my aircraft that we are in line, so because we are just straight flat right now. But if you take off, it will go up depending on your pitch. and if you're going down, it will go below this central line here, which is 0. You go below. We will see all this on a takeoff and landing tutorial. I will show you what I mean and whatsoever. Okay, right up here it says the outside temperature, it's 23 degrees Celsius. This is the speed. I don't know why it says 14, as I'm not actually moving. And on the right hand side here, you will see is the flight level from sea level that I was talking about. So here it is, and on the bottom left we have a mini map. You can actually move this out the way if you don't want it. Sorry about that again, my battery is low. By sweeping up you can move everything out the way. I use them when I land and take off, just to see what's going on around. And also is the glide slope, and at the bottom here is the localizer. You will see this will be telling you if you are in the center of the line when you go for landing. So it will tell you where you need to, whether to turn a little bit left or right, just to straighten up with the runway. And somewhere here when glide slope will tell you if you are too high from your runway or too low from your runway. We'll see all this in the future video. For now guys, this is it for the instruments. If you have any kind of questions, just please comment below. I tried to go as fast as I could because I don't want to get you guys too tired on this video. Just let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you again on the next Gadget Pilot video, guys. Please like the video, share to your friends, and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys.